Welcome to my California native plant garden here in the central Sierra Nevada foothills. This is a monthly update for March of 2024 for my plant garden, my native plant garden that went in really starting in December of 2022. I've been doing monthly updates going back to May of 2023. So I'm trying to create kind of a chronicle here so you can follow the evolution of this garden. There are some key storylines here that I want to address. Storyline number one, I don't have time. Unfortunately, this is a time of year that's really hard for me. I try to make my garden such that it's as automatic as possible and as low maintenance as possible, but there's no such thing as a garden that's completely maintenance free. And one thing I have not had any time to do is get out here and weed. So there are a lot of weeds hanging out everywhere, but the flip side of that story is storyline number two. The wildflowers are off the hook. I'm trying not to spend too much time on this main update series about my garden talking about the wildflowers. So if you're interested, I'm doing a series of shorts on YouTube and TikTok about all of the different wildflowers that pop up in the area. So I'll try to keep myself from getting too off script about wildflowers on this series and try to keep it focused on my native plant garden, the more horticultural stuff that's going on here. Storyline number three is that plants are really starting to jump. It's that time of year. So we're still really moist from those winter rains. There's still occasionally intermittent rain coming down, but there's also extending daylight time and way more sun. So the plants are really starting to pop. And there's a lot of development happening in the garden, but we're still a little bit early for a lot of blooms. But it's going to happen on a week-to-week basis at this point. Things are going to start to look a lot different. Storyline number four is that I got this fancy gimbal, and so now my videos hopefully won't make people seasick. So that's really exciting. So stick with me while I figure out how to use this thing. And nobody's nauseous, right? Hopefully not. Okay, let's just dive into it. I am really busy right now at work. This is the busiest time of year for me at work. So I struggle to get out here, which is a bummer because this is the time of year when stuff is the most exciting in the garden. And also the time of year when your efforts in the garden can actually yield the biggest benefit, because you really need to get in here and try to make sure that the weeds don't completely destroy everything. But the positive side of that is that you're going to be experiencing a lot of this with me because I have not been home during daylight hours very much recently. So yeah, I'm going to be seeing a lot of this for the first time. Okay, starting with this guy. This is a Hummingbird Sage. This is going on year 2. I don't know, where are we now? We're at month 15 at this point. And look at this. He's got I can't even count how many flower spires are on the way on this one. Oh, you look so cool. If you remember, going back to some of the earliest videos, when I planted this one had little pups already attached to it in the pot. So the original plant was over here somewhere, and I pulled one of the little pups over this way and put it down. So it really got kind of a head start. It just shows you, man, Hummingbird Sage, they are so resilient. About a month ago, I came out here and I started weeding, and then I kind of got sick of trying to control them. So I finally put in the river rock along this dry stream bed just in this one area, because I figured that would be easier than me trying to keep it weed free for the season. But it was a lot of work, and I do have a lot more to do because of course I'm going to do it along this whole area as well, all the way out to that spot back there. The new one that went in this year to replace the one that died last year is looking a little sunburned, but also has some really healthy looking pups next to it. I do need to get in here and weed. That's one of the things that I think really makes a difference. You wouldn't think so, but especially as we start to get into the drier parts of the year, if there are weeds that are stealing all the moisture out of the soil, it really outcompetes your plants. Not to mention the fact that it creates a highway for pests to get to the plant much more easily, and it also it competes with the plant for the sunlight as well. So there's just a lot of stuff that happens when you don't keep the weeds under control around your plants. So this is kind of interesting. When I was putting in this stone, I was kind of, doing some leveling out of the ground here, and I found all of these rhizomes under the ground, and I thought that they were Bermuda grass or possibly that wild rye that I found last year, and so I started to pull them up. Turns out it was hummingbird sage. It was that hummingbird sage right there. It was sending rhizomes underneath the cardboard underlayer all the way into this area over here. And so when I traced it back and realized that it was a hummingbird sage, I pulled off a little piece of it accidentally. And so I just plonked it in right here. And that was about a month ago at this point, and I really didn't think that this guy would survive, but I think it might. Very resilient hummingbird sage. I love hummingbird sage. Highly recommend if you have a shady spot to put it, just plonk it in somewhere. It's so rewarding. When a lot of other things are just struggling, the hummingbird sage it's just fantastic. Okay, probably the biggest MVP right now is this blue elderberry. It has really leaped in the past month. It had a little bit of a setback. There was a little bit of herbivory. There was some nibbling going on from some deer, but it's really done well over the past month, and it put on like a tremendous amount of height. I have huge expectations for it this year. I think it's going to do amazing. Man, look at you. Phenomenal. Here's the Dara's Choice looking sunburned at the moment, but still gonna bloom. You can see it's got lots of little blossoms getting ready to pop right now. And it's died on me for 2 years in a row. This will be the 3rd year that I've attempted it, and I don't know about it. It'll be really pretty though. The flowers are really lovely. I had a problem with them flowering. I've had a problem with them surviving the summer. This guy is a delightful surprise. This is our Ribes aureum, or our golden currant, and it's blooming. I really wasn't expecting it to bloom, especially not given how immature it is. But it leafed out, it dropped its leaves probably in November, late November, and it was already leafing back out by December. And now it is fully leafed back out and really back in its growth mode and blooming in its first year. I hope it puts on a lot of height this year. Back here in the shade, the snowberry has gone totally dormant, so I won't bother showing you that at the moment because it's pretty much just sticks, but this is really exciting. This is our western columbine. These are the bright red columbines that you see up in the mountains, and it's doing really, really great. I'm really hoping for some really beautiful blossoms on this year. I'll say it again, it probably shouldn't be here. It's probably too hot for it here, and I'm sure it would probably be completely demolished by deer if I ever encaged it, but I don't care. I love these plants, so I'm gonna baby it and enjoy it as much as I can. This is the coffee berry, and it is completely engulfed in weeds. I'm gonna fix that real quick. So I have gone ahead and liberated my coffee berry from some of those weeds. You can see it hasn't really grown that much over the past month, and I don't know, that could have something to do with those weeds that were kind of choking it out. But I'm gonna cage it back up and we'll check on you again next month. The California Buttonbush, I wasn't sure if this one had survived. It had gotten completely eaten by deer earlier in the season, or really right after I purchased it, but it is leafing back out. So we'll see what you do. Definitely need to get a top on this thing because this is apparently just too delicious. It's too tempting. It needs to be protected. Salvia leucophylla. This is a purple sage variety known as Figueroa, and it looks like it's about to bloom, so that's pretty exciting. But this is its first year. It's only been in the ground now for about 4 months, so we really don't expect too much of it this year, but it'll be pretty big next year. This is the other purple sage that we planted. This is the variety known as Point Sal, and this one looks like it might be actually doing a little bit better than the other one. I don't see buds on it yet, so it's not prepping to bloom, but I see more vegetative growth, so that's pretty great. Okay, and in here in this cage with these delightful little red maids that volunteered, that's our Ceanothus Ray Hartman. I'll go in from the top so you can see. It has some little buds on it. Still not the best season for my California sagebrush. This is Artemisia californica. It's just kind of hanging out. Both of them look like this. I have one here, then there's another one over that way. But really the most exciting news is this guy. That's our California Buckeye. We weren't sure if it was alive or dead for pretty much 1 whole year. These things are so impressive. Their dormancy is so complete. They look completely dead for the entire summer. And then in the spring, look at how quickly it just leafs out and starts growing. It's wild. Here's our toyon. And here's some stork's bill that's growing inside of it. Oh, these things are terrible. Apparently these actually can really hurt dogs because these things get lodged up inside of their nostrils. They're surprisingly sharp. Yes, there's the toyon. It's got a little bit of, it's developing a little bit of a reddish hue from some of the higher solar exposure. But other than that, it's put on a lot of growth. It's looking pretty good. Here's our Artemisia tridentata. I love this guy. He's one of my favorites. And definitely going to be planting more of these. It's looking much fuller. This guy was really waiting for the sun to come out. There's that woolly sunflower. It does have some buds on it. Very daisy-like looking little buds there. So we're going to see we're going to have some flowers on this guy. But not a lot of height. This one does get eaten by the deer pretty much every time it tries to take off. Fortunately for this brief window of time, the deer have plenty of other food. So the plants in here have kind of a brief window where they are mostly undisturbed. That will change in about a month or two. Here's our buckwheat. This is a Eriogonum fasciculatum, California buckwheat. I don't see buds yet, but man, the greenery is wild. Look at it growing through this cage. Probably should just remove the cage at this point. It's a little bit later in the day, so the light might be a little bit different, but let's pick up where we left off. Here's our common yarrow. They haven't done much. There's no blossoms yet or anything. But I'm just pleased that they're still here because if you remember, the red velvet yarrow that we planted up by the driveway got eaten immediately by deer. And then right over here, of course, are our 3 Salvia gracias, the gracias sages. And it looks like we do have buds forming. Let's get a closer look. Yep, there we go. These are going to be exploding into little purple blossoms. Yeah, these guys have put on a lot of growth over the past month. We do have aphids, and I always struggle to decide what to do about the aphids. I know they say, you just knock them off with a hose. I don't know how productive that ultimately is when you do that, because you do tend to kind of damage the plants a little bit when you hit them with the hose. And really, the predators need to catch up. I need the ladybugs and everything else that eats the aphids to sort of catch up with the aphids. And then that's what really keeps them in control later in the season. Knock a couple of these down because they'll spread to oh, hey. Hello. Never mind. Do you have this situation in hand? That makes me very happy. Here's the 3 penstemon GMR whites. There's one of them there, another one there. Those are the first year ones, and then there's the second year penstemon GMR white there. And this one is absolutely covered in buds. So this one's gonna be exploding with little white blossoms any moment now. Here are our 2 penstemon pseudospectabilis. Here's one. And then there's the other one there. This one actually they both have buds, but this one has buds that are literally just about to pop. This is the penstemon Catherine de Lamar. This is the blue one. It's doing okay. And right behind that, this is the Eleanor monkey flower. This one is doing spectacular. Look at how good that looks. And I think we definitely have buds here. This is about to pop as well. This is really exciting. Oh, here we go. This is really good. It's like one day away. Oh, and hello. Here's the firecracker penstemon. This is the penstemon atonii. This one also is covered in, we've got little blossoms. This is the first year one. Man, this one's gonna be spectacular on year 2. This is the Winifred Gilman sage. And right to the left there, that's the Starlight Sage. That one is totally in bloom. Not in full bloom yet, but very close. And if it hadn't gotten sat on by a deer, it would be really pretty. I mean, it's still really pretty, but it would be even nicer if all the branches hadn't been flattened by that deer. But like I said last time, you can see there in there where it was hit. Those branches have continued to grow and they're continuing to bloom. But you know, they're laying on the ground and it would be completely upright if not for that. You can see back here, it's even essentially fallen backwards onto this Pozo Blue Sage. And then this is the Pozo Blue Sage. And that one, I'm not quite sure how close that one is. That one might be a little bit farther behind. This one reminds me a little bit of the Allen Chickering, and the Allen Chickering sage bloomed really late into the season last year, so this one might be kind of later in the season in terms of when it puts on its biggest show. Here are our white sages. Those are continuing to put on some decent growth. And then I do have one piece of sad news over here. So the Penstemon spectabilis, the one that I was so excited to find, just didn't make it this year. That's a bummer. It's our first and only casualty so far. There will be more. There are always a few. This is the Allen Chickering sage. Looking pretty good. This one's bloomed almost continuously. Also got sat on by a deer. Have had some pretty serious breakage. First year Brandigee sage. I think, well, okay. This one is somewhere in between its first year and its second year. It's in its second season, but it went in late last year. It went in June. But it looks great for such a young Brandigee sage. And I don't think I've ever seen a Brandigee sage bloom so profusely. These guys, of course, are the Santa Rosa Island sage. Really lovely white flowers. Pretty demure. Not terribly showy. But really profuse on this particular specimen. Really, these are planted more, at least in my garden, for their foliage because they're just such a vibrant green that stays so green all year long. But yeah, this is quite a show. Okay, well, thanks for spending the day with me, checking out the status of my garden that I planted originally in December 2022 with a whole bunch of new plants in December of 2023. Everybody looks good, they feel good. And look at how awesome all this popcorn flower is. What a beautiful season.